Soon, though, Daniel's attention began to shift. Work consumed him. He came home later, tired and distracted. When Sophia tried to tell him about the aches in her back or the strange dreams she had, he often muttered, "I'm exhausted. Sophia, can we talk later?" Later never came. Some nights she sat alone on the couch, one hand on her belly, listening to the city outside while Daniel stayed at the office or disappeared with friends. One evening, as she folded tiny clothes a friend had gifted her, she whispered to her unborn child, "I hope I can love you enough. I hope I can give you what he wants, even if I don't know how." Tears slipped down her cheeks. She felt like she was carrying not only a baby but also the heavy burden of Daniel's dream. And yet, somewhere deep inside, a small flame of love began to flicker for the life growing inside her. A quiet, fragile bond. But as her love for the child grew, Daniel's presence began to fade. And though Sophia didn't know it then, his distance was the first sign of a betrayal that would one day break her heart. The night came suddenly. Sophia woke with sharp pain twisting through her body, her breath catching in her throat. "Daniel," she whispered, shaking him awake. "It's time." Panic flashed across his face, but soon they were rushing to the hospital, the car filled with her cries and his nervous reassurances. Hours dragged by. Sophia clutched Daniel's hand until her nails dug into his skin. Sweat soaked her hair, tears burned her eyes, but she kept pushing, her body fighting and straining. Then, at last, a thin, sharp cry filled the room. The nurse placed a tiny, wriggling baby into Sophia's arms. She looked down at the small face, the soft dark hair, the fragile hands curling around her finger. Something broke inside her, and something healed at the same time. Her voice trembled. "You're here, my little Elena." Tears ran down her cheeks, and for the first time in months, they weren't only tears of fear. They were tears of love so fierce it shocked her. She held her daughter against her chest, breathing her in, whispering, "I didn't think I wanted you, but now I can't imagine the world without you." Daniel stood beside her, his eyes shining with pride. He kissed Sophia's forehead, then kissed the baby's soft head. "She's perfect," he said. "She's ours." For a brief moment, it felt like all the cracks in their marriage had sealed. They were a family now, bound together by this new, fragile life. But as the days passed, reality settled in. Nights blurred into cries and feedings, Sophia stumbling through exhaustion while Daniel slept soundly or worked late. Still, every time she looked at Elena, she felt her heart swell. The child who once terrified her had become her greatest treasure. She thought, if this is what love is, I can survive anything. What she didn't know was that love alone would not be enough to keep Daniel from drifting away. The first weeks at home were a blur of sleepless nights and soft cries. Sophia lived in a rhythm of feeding, rocking, and whispering lullabies. Her body ached, her eyes were heavy, but her heart stayed full whenever she held Elena against her chest. Daniel was proud at first. He showed off pictures of the baby at work, called her his little princess, and kissed her forehead when he came home. But slowly, something began to change. He grew tired of the endless cries. He complained about the mess, the bottles on the counter, the laundry waiting in baskets, Sophia's hair uncombed. "Do you ever think about us anymore?" he asked one night as Sophia rocked Elena in the chair. She looked up, her eyes weary. "Us. Daniel, I barely have time to breathe." He sighed, shaking his head. "It feels like I've lost you." His words cut her, but she swallowed the pain. "You wanted this," she whispered. "This is what you asked of me." Daniel didn't answer. He grabbed his coat and went for a late-night walk that became a habit. As weeks turned into months, his absences grew longer. Work, he always said. Meetings. Deadlines. But Sophia noticed the faint trace of perfume on his shirts, scents she didn't wear. She saw the way he shielded his phone, the way his smile brightened at messages she never read. One evening, As she fed Elena in the dim light of the nursery, Sophia listened to the sound of the door closing behind him. Her heart clenched. She whispered into her daughter's tiny ear, "Don't worry, little one. I won't leave you. Not ever." But in her own heart, she knew something was slipping away. Daniel's love, once so bright, was fading into shadows, and though she clung to hope, deep inside she feared she already knew the ending. The days grew colder as autumn painted the city with red and gold leaves. Sophia carried Elena in her arms, rocking her gently while staring out the window. The house was quiet, too quiet. Daniel had once filled it with laughter, music, and warmth. Now, his absence echoed louder than his presence. Late nights turned into later mornings. He came home past midnight, smelling faintly of wine and something floral, and fell into bed without words. Sophia's heart couldn't bear it anymore. One afternoon, when Elena was asleep in her crib, Sophia called Mark, Daniel's closest friend since childhood. Her voice was unsteady. "Mark, can I see you? Please. I need someone to talk to." Mark met her at the small cafe where she and Daniel had once sat together years ago. His eyes softened the moment he saw her. "You look tired, Sophia," he said gently. "I am." She wrapped her hands around the warm cup, though she hadn't touched the coffee. Her voice broke. "Mark, I think Daniel is slipping away from me. From us. He's never home. He hides things. I smell perfume on him." Mark sighed deeply, leaning back in his chair. He didn't look surprised, and that hurt her even more. "Do you know something?" she whispered, her eyes searching his. Mark replied, "No, but I think you two should go for counseling. Bringing another human into the world is not an easy task. That child deserves all the love she can get from you too. She did not ask to be born. You both owe her a good, safe, and happy home." That evening, when Daniel walked through the door, Sophia was waiting. Her hands trembled, but her eyes were steady. "Where were you?" she asked. "Work," he said quickly, hanging up his coat. "Don't lie to me." Her voice cracked, but she stood her ground. "I deserve to know the truth." Daniel froze, his back stiffening. Slowly, he turned, his face pale. Sophia cried, her tears spilling over. "You owe me the truth, Daniel. After all I gave up for you, after the child I bore because you wanted her, don't you dare lie to me." Silence filled the room, thick and suffocating. Finally, Daniel whispered, "Yes, there's someone else." Sophia staggered back as though the words had struck her physically. Her chest heaved, her heart screaming in pain. Sophia's chest tightened. "Someone else? After everything? After the child I gave you?" Daniel avoided her eyes. "She's young. She's successful. She makes me feel alive again. All you care about now is the baby. You don't look the same anymore. You have lost yourself. I don't get any attention from you anymore." Daniel didn't reach for her. He didn't apologize. He just stood there, his eyes already far away, as though he had left long before this moment. Sophia clutched the wall to steady herself. Her voice shook as she said, "You broke me, Daniel. You broke us." But he only lowered his head, saying nothing at all. The house felt colder than ever that night. After Daniel's confession, Sophia barely slept. She lay awake beside Elena's crib, watching her baby's chest rise and fall, each breath an anchor holding her to the world. Morning light crept through the curtains, pale and gray. Daniel sat at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee untouched before him. His face was distant, empty of warmth. Sophia stood in the doorway, her heart pounding. "Tell me it was a mistake," she whispered. To be continued in part 4. Thank you for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Bye for now.